Schedule 1 is a lie. When will reefer madness die? Schedule 1 is a lie. When will reefer madness die? Schedule 1 is a lie. When will reefer madness die? Cannabis is medicine. Cannabis is medicine.
I said good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, this is an amazing sight. I want to thank all of you for coming out today. But it's bittersweet, for sure. So we're going to get started today. We have elected officials from here in San Francisco, as well as a series of patients that are going to speak out in support of medical cannabis program here in San Francisco. So this is a very historic day, right? Look around. Look to your left. Look to your right. Look behind you, in front of you. These are the patients. These are the people that have created safe access for you and that will continue to create safe access for you. The work that we have done for safe access has happened not just because elected officials decided it was a good idea. It's because patient advocates went to their elected officials, and together with their elected officials, they passed laws that stood up to the federal government.
That's right. Thank you. You're welcome.
So the access that we have now is because of the work that you all have done. So give yourself a round of applause. But my brothers and sisters, that safe access is not a permanent part of our lives yet. Yesterday in Oakland, we were reminded of what paramilitary raids look like. Having an orchestrated raid of 6 different sites is not a low priority. Yesterday's events were a chilling reminder of what our activists have been up against for over 10 years. And right now, Melinda Haig and Eric Holder are watching you. They're watching our elected officials, and they're saying, are they going to allow this to happen? Are they going to sit down? And judging by today, I am sure that you are all frightening Melinda Haig and Eric Holder. So give yourself a round of applause for that. But when we're in the streets and we are chanting slogans and we are angry and we are frustrated and we see the images of DEA agents with guns taking our medicine and tackling our friends to the ground, sometimes we get a little off message. And I just wanted to remind us all why we're here and why we're doing this work. Since we've started Americans for Safe Access, we've lost over 112 of our patient advocates that have been fighting on the front lines for safe access. Since I became a patient, and the reason I devoted my life to this cause and this organization is because I met individuals who in the last days of their life spent them at rallies like this today.
Yes!
Patients who were in pain, who knew that they weren't going to be able to medicate for hours, who were afraid that they could be arrested, came out and stood in the sun and stood up for the access and for the freedom that they knew that they may never enjoy. Brothers and sisters of yours stood in front of courtrooms with tape over their mouth only weeks before they passed away. Right? This is a movement about compassion. This is a movement about truth, and we are being heard. So today, we are going to hear from many of the brave representatives that have helped us bring this model to San Francisco, who have stood up with us time and time again against the federal government, and are here to tell Melinda Haig where to stay. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Supervisor David Campos.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the medical cannabis community here in San Francisco. We are here, we're unified, and we're here to say that when it comes to medical cannabis, we're talking about a social justice issue. This is about the rights of patients to access medicine safely. This is about making sure that people understand that if you deprive medical cannabis of patients, you're talking about a loved one not being able to stay alive. You're talking about a loved one not being able to have quality of life as they're struggling with their own illnesses. That's not the San Francisco way. That is not the California way. The voters of California have spoken. They passed Prop 215 for a reason. Now, I am proud to be here today. I am proud to be here today standing with the elected family here in San Francisco. You'll hear from Assemblymember Tom Amiano's office. Thank you, Tom, for all you're doing in Sacramento. You'll hear from State Senator Mark Leno. Thank you, Senator Leno, for your leadership. You'll hear from many of us here on the Board of Supervisors, from Supervisor Scott Wiener, Supervisor Christina Olagi, Board President David Chu, Supervisor Kim. So many of us who on the board understand the importance of this issue. But let me speak to you more directly on a more personal level as an openly gay man. Because Prop 215 and the movement around medical cannabis came out of the LGBT community.
Thank you.
And that is why I'm so proud that the 3 openly gay members of the Board of Supervisors, the 3 members of the LGBT community who serve on this board, sent a letter to the Department of Public Health to say, we in San Francisco need to protect the rights of patients, and we in the LGBT community especially need to make sure that the rights of patients are protected in this city. So, as queer people, we have seen loved ones die, face illnesses like AIDS. We know that medical cannabis can improve the quality of life. And I want to speak specifically about a very close friend of many of us, Michael Goldstein, who recently passed away. And Michael was an amazing individual, and he was an activist for the rights of patients to access cannabis. And we saw in his own struggle how medical cannabis allowed him to not only fight the illness, but also to live his last few days with some compassion, to be able to address the tremendous effects of that horrendous illness. That's what medical cannabis did, and that's why it's so important that San Francisco stands firm against the federal government, that San Francisco makes it clear that when it comes to medical cannabis, we truly are a sanctuary. We are a city that recognizes, the federal government needs to spend its resources elsewhere, which is why we need to make sure that here in San Francisco, those cannabis clubs, dispensaries that were shut down, that their permitting process is expedited so that they can reopen again here in San Francisco. We are asking the Department of Public Health to make sure that that process takes place as soon as possible. There is no time to waste. Patients are waiting. And we also ask the rest of the city family, and specifically ask the mayor's office. He's a civil rights attorney. He has a history of standing up for the rights of individuals. We need the mayor to come out and stand firm with the medical cannabis community and say that we're not going to tolerate that kind of action in San Francisco. I also want to thank the city attorney's office for being here to make sure that the rights, the legal rights of these patients are protected. I also want to thank the district attorney that will be reading a statement to make sure that everyone knows that in San Francisco, Prop 215 will be protected. This fight's not over. We're not going anywhere. And thank you so much for being here. And just remember, you're not alone. You have friends here at City Hall. Thank you.
Can we hear another round of applause for David? I live in D.C. right now, and of our elected officials stand up for us like that, it would be a heartwarming day for patients. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And luckily today we have a full speakers list because you guys have a lot of people standing up for you here in San Francisco. So it's my honor to introduce a woman who, ever since the first letters come out to dispensaries, she's been working behind the scenes to make sure that access is not cut off here in San Francisco. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Supervisor Christina Alagi.
Hi, I'm Christina Alagi, Supervisor in District 5, and people have asked me over the past few weeks, what are you doing? Well, I can't do anything by myself, so luckily I have Supervisors Kim, Campos, Wiener, Avalos, and Chu standing behind me, and we are powerless without all of you. And the attacks that all of us are experiencing, and I say all of us, because when one of us is attacked, then all of us is attacked. And what people are asking for is something simple. They need access to their medicine. This is absurd. Many of you I know from my years at the Planning Commission. I don't know if any of you had to sit through some of those countless hearings when we were trying to push through various dispensaries to get their passage and to get their permitting. So I think all of you know how painful that was. And some of the absurd things we had to listen to, like heroin, you know, that cannabis medicine leads to heroin use. And that same kind of ignorance permeates, and I think that's probably some of the misconceptions that might be permeating out of Washington right now. Because otherwise, I don't know how they can oppose people having access to medicine. I just don't get it at all. But it's just insane. So I think that, you know, I'm here. We're going to be working with the planning department to figure out this permitting piece. And I'll be working with Supervisor Campos on that. And I'm just happy and proud to be here with all of the city family and with all of you. We'll fight this to the end. We're not going to stand back. We have to stand up to this level of ignorance that's coming out of Washington right now.
Thank you. I don't think she can hear you guys. Now everyone, Board of Supervisor Jane Kim. I was just kidding. Everyone, Board of Supervisor David Chu.
Good morning, San Francisco. Look around you right now. We are Asian, we are Latino, we are white, we are black, and today San Francisco is green.